Welcome to Wow Wednesday. I am your host, Nancy Matthews, one of the founders of Women's Prosperity Network, bringing you our midweek boost of motivation, education, and inspiration to support you in continuously staying in the flow, staying in a high vibration, and enjoying the experience that we get to have as we go through this life, sharing our gifts and our talents. So we're delighted to have you with us today. And our special guest, Jo Engleson, who is, well, she's amazing. You're going to experience that yourself, and I'm going to tell you all about her. And then we're going to dive into today's conversation about the power of language. Just before I do, I want to share a few announcements in the wonderful wow world of Women's Prosperity Network. So first of all, I want to say kudos to all of you who took part in our recent training, The Business of Speaking. So get out there, use all of the resources and strategies and tips that Trish Carr, another co-founder, shared with you, so that you get out there, have your message spread to the masses, because they need to hear what you have to say. So kudos to all of you. This Saturday is our monthly mastermind, our signature event, which we call Brilliance, Breakstorming, and Breakthroughs. So join us for that. It's an opportunity for you to kind of step out of your day-to-day and step into a conversation that is deeper in a community of extraordinary, impact-focused women. So join us for that. And then on Tuesday, July 30th, I'm doing a free workshop and I'm calling it the Halftime Winning Formula. So we're about halfway through the year. As a matter of fact, today is my half birthday, if that counts for something. Notice when I wrote the date in my journal this morning. And here's the thing. I've been talking to so many people who, maybe are feeling a little bit frustrated or disappointed that they're not exactly where they thought they would be in terms of their goals for the year. So I want you to join us on Tuesday as I share the formula for you to win and achieve that goal in record time. So it's a halftime formula. Let's get in, let's hit it, let's bring our energy and our vision to the table together, and I'll show you how to map it out step by step so that this is the year that you dreamed of and that you hoped it would be. And for those of you who've already hit those milestones and those goals, maybe it's time to take it up a notch and give yourself a little bit more. So you can get all the information on the events we're hosting at our events calendar. Just go to womensprosperityNetwork.com. And today we're going to have our conversation with Jo about the power of language. We'll go for about 30 minutes and then we'll open up for question and answer. So this is your opportunity to speak directly to our guest expert today, get answers so that you're moving forward in a beautiful, powerful way with your life. So I'm excited about the conversation. And let me tell you about Jo. She is known as the creative peacemaker. She is a recognized visionary leader and the founder of Token of Appreciation and Gratitude Training. She comes to us today from Spain. Yes, 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 all over the world. We love that happens. And through her Token of Appreciation and Gratitude Training, she has inspired over 20,000 individuals through her programs. She is the creative genius behind the Gratitude Show, which is a compelling one-woman variety show that illuminates the transformative power of gratitude and appreciation in everyday life. She is the author of Source Movement, a book outlining 5 principles by which to live that will create peace in our lifetime. Yeah, soak that in. Yeah, soak that in, my friends. Her journey across the U.S. as a keynote speaker has not only shared her inspiring story, but also ignited of a collective movement toward living a life filled with joy and gratitude. And she is known as the creative peacemaker. We're delighted to have her with us today. Welcome, Jo.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
thank you.
much.
Thank you. I know I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I just love being in all the sisters' presence, but specifically you, Nancy, because I've gotten to get to know you better. So I'm excited to be here, and I love today because I haven't prepped anything whatsoever, and that is usually when we're going to start having the most amazing conversations because we don't know where we're going to end up.
Yeah.
But I certainly would like to talk about the power of language, because I think, especially with what's been going on over the last, I don't know, maybe decade now, it can be very harmful language, and it can be very creative too. So what are we
Yeah.
choosing?
Yeah. I love how aligned we are in, uplifting people, giving people, not just uplifting, but giving practical tools to, navigate through this life. And when I think about the power of language and what you said, they can be harmful. One of the most, detrimental little cliches that I've come across, right? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, words can hurt the most. Right?
Yeah.
So we've got to
Yeah.
use this powerful tool that we have as a tool for good as opposed to a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the way that it hurts is it's more than just words coming at you and someone, saying something quote unquote mean to you. It
Mm-hmm.
is what happens when it's like systemic over time. And because what's created then is this environment of, let's say, criticism and judgment and whatever. And in that environment, and if we get triggered, right, then we're fueling into this environment of division, judgment, disconnection, all of it, right? And so I think it's important that we make that distinction, because we want to learn to be as neutral as possible when people are just giving us feedback, or they're like judging us, or little things, because that's really just showing them who they are, showing you who they are. It's not really so much about you when someone gives you that kind of criticism and what have you. And versus the deeper, like, what am I creating here? Because we are creating everything. And most of us don't want to admit to some of the creations that we're seeing today as the creator. Like, we don't want to be the creator of, well, okay, I created that, but not that. I created a parking space, but not that piece of paper on the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we got to start thinking that, no, if we're generating everything through our language, then wouldn't we start paying attention and be more like the four agreements, like more despicable with our word, right? Like
Yeah.
more, I don't know what the word is, not the,
Intentional, or conscious.
despicable. Is despicable a word?
No, impeccable.
Impeccable, thank you. I'm Swedish, so English is my second language. So once in a while, that's the kind of stuff you'll get from me.
I love it. I
Despicable
love it.
language.
Yeah, Despicable Me is the movie. You probably were watching it with your kids, and that's why it's stuck in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. My daughter's homesick today, so yeah, I've had a handful of that today.
Yes, that could be. That could be. All right. So in looking at how powerful our words are in creating our life, let's take us through, if you would, some of the ways we can, identify which language is life enhancing and creating the life we want, as opposed to the language we may be using, which is creating the results we're experiencing that we don't necessarily want.
Yes,
So
yes,
how do we distinguish?
and I'll give you like a perfect, simple example that could literally change you guys' life right now, because it's that it could be that profound. So in improv, they teach something. There's a distinction in improv, and I also teach it in an improv class that I teach, which is called transacting, which is coaching distinctions and improv together. But there's a distinction in improv called yes and, right? Versus no but, right? So it's yes and the idea behind it in improv is that you take all the offers, all the lines and all the stuff that comes to you, and you're like, yes, and then you build on it, right? You create with the person, you respond to the person. You're not like most of us in daily life reacting, or that. So that's when you have a yes and consciousness, or yes and come from. Is when you take the information and then you create with it. Now, the opposite of that, which is, and I always like to make up percentages, so this is not a real percentage. But
But it's
like
a good
I
illustration.
would say like 98% of the world, including myself many times, live out of a no but paradigm, like a no but, like everything is resistance, it's reactive, it's rejecting,
Mhm.
all of that, right? And so when we come from a no but paradigm, we create a fear-based society, right? Because it has all of the ingredients that would be in a fear-based context, like
Mhm.
criticism, all of that. And then when you're coming from a yes and paradigm, you're actually coming from a love context where really, like, what would love do here? Like, how would love handle this situation? Because you're responding, you're working with, you're taking a stand instead of being positioned, right?
Mm.
And so an example would be, because then what a lot of people tell me is like, well, like, what if I need to say no? I'm not going to say yes to everything, right? But that's actually not what I'm saying, because you can come from a yes and, like, come from a place of, I'm going to respond, work with, expand, see the possibility. You can come from that, but you can still have a no to the specific task that was asked
Right.
of you. So the way that could sound is, it's like, let's say, Nancy, you have all this work to do and you're like buried in papers, and I come to you and I'm like, hey, Nancy, let's go to the beach today, right? One answer, right, could be like, no, because I have all this work here and I can't go with you to the beach, right? That's what most people would do. The
Mhm.
other answer could be, yes, oh my God, that sounds so wonderful. And I have all this work I need to do. Maybe we could schedule for another day. Now, what do
And
you think is created in the relationship, right, with the person based on those two? Go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I was going to say what a different energy that brings to the choice you're making to not go to the beach and do the work, right? You're actually
Yes,
choosing it rather than thinking you're suffering through it. Oh, I wish I could go to the beach, but I have to do all this, right?
totally.
And then doing the work has a whole different experience as opposed to sitting there trudging through it, thinking about your friend at the beach. And I wish I could have been there. I should have been like,
Yeah.
blah, 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 you know.
Right. And the friend sitting there going like, yeah, I wish she could be in it. Yeah, like she never comes to anything, blah, blah, blah. But if you were like, yeah, I would love that. And I
Mm,
can't today, right?
yeah. Yeah. And the other place that I see this showing up is sometimes when I'm coaching someone, or not, whether I'm coaching someone or it's a friend or a family member who's going through a rough time, and you're being helpful, coming up with the suggestions, and you say, well, how about if you try this? No, I tried that already and it didn't work. Well, what about that? No, that won't work either. No, like, and look at our own language when somebody is offering a suggestion. Are we
Mhm.
immediately patting it out from a previous experience and way of being, or you open up that space of possibility? That's what yes and does,
Yeah,
right? It opens the
exactly.
space.
Yeah. And it works like magic with children. Like I remember when my son, he's 10 now, but he was like 4 or 5 years old. I was dropping him off at the daycare, and he had this truck in his hand, and I was like, you got to leave the truck in the car. You can't take the truck in the car into the school. They don't allow toys. Da, da, da. He's like, I want to bring my truck. And the more we kept going, the more escalated it got. And then I remembered my own, advice. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? I'm like totally no-butting him right now. And I'm like, okay. So then I went, oh, wait, you want to bring the truck into the school? He's like, yes. I'm like, oh, it's such a great idea. And you know how you can't bring toys. He's like, I know. And he put it down right inside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would have
It's
been
that
really fun.
powerful. It's that powerful, right? So it is definitely something that like as a start of starting to listen to yourself. And when I say listen to yourself, I'm not saying hear yourself, like don't just hear the words you're saying,
Mhm,
like really
mhm.
listen to your body language, to the words that come out too, but like listen, where am I coming from here? And if you do that in any situation when you feel triggered, and you take that moment and go, wait, where am I coming from here? And if you identify fear, just stop, knock it off. Like, just stop. Don't take any action. Don't quit your job. Don't yell at your spouse. Don't, like, if you're realizing that you're in a fear-based context, do not make any decisions or take any action.
Mm.
Just take a moment. Right? How many times, right, have we been like, oh, I just got a bad email, and you start writing this email back and you send it and you're like, God, I should not have sent that. That's just reactive behavior, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the difference in how we respond and how we use language, and part of what we want to keep a look at in our own language, maybe speak to this for us a little bit. Let's talk about visualization and affirmations and the power of positive thinking. Like, I would say everybody on this line that's with us today knows about saying affirmations and visualizing and being positive. And then you may be saying, well, I'm doing all these affirmations. How come it's not working? Right. And
Yes.
I have seen where language leaks out what's actually going on in your subconscious. So if we can
Yes.
start to recognize what our language is saying about what's really going on, then those affirmations can be more effective. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, like, affirmations can be so powerful, and they could also be so nothing, right? Because again, it's coming from the energy and the environment and the context of the person verbalizing, or sometimes it's actually even mudras, right? Like with your hands and stuff. But as you're making these affirmations, if it's coming from like a space of love and calm and peace and certainty and surrender and trust and all of that, right? Chances are you're going to be vibing with whatever it is you want, and you're going to have it appear sooner than you thought, because it's already
Mhm.
there. The reason I say appear is because it's already there. Your vision, everything is available to you like right now. And it's really just starting to shifting your thoughts in a way that you're changing the space that you are, that will actually have things show up. So now, if you instead come from a space of like, like, let's do, yeah, I always think of The Secret, when people talk about affirmations, and in The Secret, for some reason I remember they were talking about a red car. Maybe I heard that somewhere else, but you could either be like, I want that goddamn red car because I have no money, I have no cars, and my car's not working, blah 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 blah, I want that red car. Like, that affirmation ain't going to get you a red car, right? uh, but you could also be like, oh my God, I can feel the wind in the hair in my hair as I'm driving down the A1A and whatever you are, right? And I'm like seeing the beach and I'm in my convertible red car, or, that is going to have you vibe with it. And I know that sounds esoteric in in
Mhm.
some ways, but what I'll say to that is just try it. Like, you can't lose, right? And then you'll know for yourself. Like, I know when I stood in gratitude, and I spoke to you about that on the last call, but when I was doing the giving year and giving a token away every day for a year, when I was standing in gratitude over and over and over, you generate a context of abundance and things start seeping in, and at that point, you don't even have to do anything anymore.
I bet everybody wants to know more about that. So
Yes.
share about that a little bit more, because I think that, as you were sharing of creating that shift from I want that goddamn red car to, oh, I can feel it. How do you get there? Right? Because there's somebody listening in right now is going through a really challenging time, and creating that leap from looking at what's happening in their current experience to believing something else is possible. That's a stretch.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of it starts with our own self-talk and our own thoughts, right? And so it's difficult when you're like, well, let's just say the goal is to make $10,000 by the end of the month, right? And you're like, I
Mhm.
want to make 10,000 at the end of the month, and you put every single thing you have into it, and it's not happening. So then what you got to do, because the moment you declare, like, I'm going to make 10,000, you're actually in a breakdown. You're instantly in a breakdown, because who you're being here at this point is not And I keep saying it's not an environment, it's not a context for having the 10,000 that you want at the end of the month. So in order for the 10,000 to show up at the end of the month, you have to figure out who you are. Like, where are your thoughts? What is that self-talk? You know, are you having a conversation of I'm not good enough? If you have a conversation of I'm not good enough, which most people do work around it. Don't just go, I have a conversation about not being good enough. Oh, there, I'm not good enough again, right? Do something about it. Read the right books, take the right workshops, like refine your way of being and refine your character so much so that and again, it's what I'm saying, that's going to have you automatically start wanting to take action. I mean, like this morning with my daughter, like I wasn't prepared to be home with my daughter today. And at some point I knew that because we had a really long week, we just got back from Sweden, whatever. I'm like, you know what, if I can just figure out how to get 30 minutes, she's 7, she should be able to, watch a movie for 30 minutes so I could take a nap. And it wasn't happening. And I started feeling like that frustration and anger and whatever. And I knew, I got to a point where I was like, okay, I can stay in bed here and be frustrated and angry for the next 30 minutes, right? And fight with her or talk to her, whatever, and still not get a nap. Or I can go down and like play with her or do the dishes or just do something. And I wanted to stay in bed. Like that little part of me was like, I just want to, and I was like, you know what? I can't do it. And I got up, and the moment I just started doing something else, put a good song on, everything just, the whole world just opened up, right? The whole world just opened up. And I'm able to be like, I'm not even tired right now. Like, I don't need the nap. That's just a conversation, right? And so that's how you create it. So it does require some action, right? So that's why I said, like, I had to get up and take some action towards my bigger vision of, family, connection, clean house, whatever it is. So you have to have some action. And then the other thing is that there's got to be a vision beyond the vision, right? So if I have a vision, let's say a goal, let's say mini vision, but like the goal of making 10,000, is it really so that I can like be happy, like go buy more stuff? Like what is it? Like, why do I, what's that 10,000 going to produce for me in a way of being, in a way of feeling, in a way of experiencing, right? And that's what you want to get to, because those things are available to you without the $10,000, right?
Yep. So you got to create the feeling first, manifestation second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the belief comes in, because you said that like you keep on almost producing more evidence that you're not going to have it when you're not having it happen. Let me actually talk about that for a second, because that's the other thing, is that we are so hard on ourselves. Right? It took Madonna 10 years to become an overnight success, right? And everybody's thinking, how did she do it? Well, she was like sleeping in cars and playing at dive bars for 10 years, right? And so patience, right? Patience, but not patience turning into non-action, right? Not using patience to sell out on yourself, but patience, which is more towards the trust side of patience. Right? This is going to take time, and small good action steps daily in a context of love and a context of peace, and it will happen over time. It cannot not happen. It's like building a house, right?
Or growing a tree.
Or growing a tree.
Yeah. Yes. And so how we're being in our state of patience or waiting, it's about finding a way to enjoy the journey. We hear this cliche all the time, but it's said for a reason. Like, we've got to find the way in this moment to tap into an energy of gratitude and appreciation, of joy, even if it's about doing that next post on social media, or doing that video on Facebook Live, or whatever it is that you're doing, that that is an action that supports that goal of having the 10,000, right? So
Yeah.
take a look at,
Yes.
what would I be doing? Who would I be being? How would I be feeling if I already had that goal achieved?
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
start being that.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
then you are, yeah, then you're being what is supposed to be around you, which is $10,000, right? You're being it.
Right.
It's that it
Exactly.
puts it together, right? Like it just
Yeah.
puts it together. We just have to, again, like we just have to work on being happy no matter what, first of all, and seeing things as neutrally as possible, right?
Mhm.
And then take our stand in the world for what we believe in and our principles, and just share that and be in the moment, because we're so often in our past, right, or in our future.
Yeah. So let's come to language again, and then
Yeah.
I want to move us towards another phase of the conversation about this movement that you've created about awakening with peace, because they're obviously related. So let's say we're hearing language that gets us upset or sad or frustrated or pissed off or depressed. Like there's a lot of language around us all the time. So how do we handle that? How do we, not let it take us down, or you know what I'm saying? There's
Yeah,
there's a
yeah, yeah.
lot of
No,
language
I know.
out there.
Well, it's difficult, right? But once you realize that you're like an open, like you have all these like hooks here or buttons, right? And once you realize that a button is pushed, and usually
Mhm.
you know that because you have a response or reaction to what was just said, right?
Right.
Um, there's a few things. I mean, one thing is this really about you? Even if someone says something so horrendous to you, could it still be neutral?
Mm.
Could it just be words coming out of someone's mouth and then you make meaning, right? So that's like number
Mhm.
one. It's like could I just see this neutrally right now and just look at this as all it is information, and then I gotta choose. Do I want to be a Teflon pan right now? Like, do I want it to just go off of me like, Teflon?
That's
Or,
good. Yeah.
or am I getting so triggered that there's some work to do here, right? Because no one could really say, and like someone could come up to me and say anything, especially if I don't know them and they say something really mean. Like, I know they don't know me, so why would I, unless I had a conversation already existing within me, why would I listen to someone else?
Mhm. Mhm. And I love the distinction you just gave us. I can choose to be Teflon, and it just slides right away. It doesn't permeate my being. Or if you're feeling triggered by something, and it's gnawing at you and it gets you really upset, rather than retaliating and attacking and going into defense mode or offensive mode,
Yeah,
right? Because it hasn't really very little to do with that person in the moment, right? It's seeing that, oh, there must be some scar that still needs some wound inside of me that's still open. And
yeah.
there's some work for us to do. And let me tell you, that takes lots and lots of practice.
Lots and
And
lots of
cleaning.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because like I find myself when I like forget, right? When we forget and we react or whatever, usually I'll
Mhm.
catch myself, but then I'll also watch other people in my world, in the world. And and I can see the people that actually are aware enough to, you could tell that they're working it, like they're like
Yeah.
actually slowing down and assessing and discerning and like thinking about it, and then there are some people that are just living life at reactionary 100%,
Oh,
like
yeah.
everything is a reaction, and most of the reactionary stuff we'll see in our families, right? Because that's where the real big triggers are, and the
Isn't
deeper
that
stuff.
fun? What
Yeah.
a playground our families are.
I know. Well, think about it. We've spent that much time together, most of us, right? Like most of the families have spent that much time together. You'd think there'd be a lot there, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the key for me is to be able to find grace in it for myself and as well as those around me. And that's
Yeah.
part of the lesson,
Yeah.
you know.
And I want to say this with the language before we do anything else. Language creates, right? So language creates. And we talked about patience and we talked about like just, giving it the time that it takes and trusting. Like every single thing that I have spoken have come true or is yet to come true.
Mhm.
Because I haven't seen it yet, right? But I've seen so many things, and this just happened recently. For the last like 3 years since we moved to Mallorca, I said, really, what I really want is to have like fireside chats here up at our villa, where people come and it's just a community, and we just like talk about consciousness and how to create peace in the world. Like that's what I really want. I want to have like people from high places, right, coming here. And over the last 3 years, and more, it's happening more and more. It's happening without me doing anything about it. Like we just had this like famous actor stay here for 4 days. There's a guy that works at the UN that came over and asked me. Like, I mean, it just keeps happening, and they keep coming to my space, right? And so I just keep talking about it. I keep talking about that. I think Mallorca, where I live, is going to be the center for peace in the future. If I keep talking about it, it's a possibility.
My future son-in-law just moved to Mallorca yesterday. So I can't wait to go.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
And
amazing.
I'm thinking, I'm listening. I'm like, oh, this will be a great connection to bring you
Yeah,
guys.
I love it.
You just keep
Yes.
saying, and so that's evidence. When you have your vision, just keep thinking it and sharing it and trusting in that just because you've planted a seed, the tree doesn't bam grow tomorrow,
Mm-mm.
right? There's a
Yeah.
process to it. Many of us in our community, we're going through my book called The Receiving Your Riches, which is based upon Wallace Wattles' Science of Getting Rich. And he says in there, hold the impression, of your vision, place that upon infinite substance and formless substance, and it will come into formation. But it's, you don't instantly, we're not there yet. It can happen, and it does. Instant
Yeah.
manifestation occurs for sure. Allow that space and find the practice is to be joyful in the process,
Yeah.
which is what you're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
my goodness. Joe, you and I could just, I can't wait to come visit
Well, you're
you.
gonna come here. Yeah, I
I
have two
know.
guests.
He just
I have two
moved.
guest
Yeah.
houses. You could come stay.
I see, I love how everything works out. That's just
It
so
just
beautiful. All
does.
right. We'll see you soon. I'm certain of it. All right, let's talk a little bit about Awaken with Peace and the amazing gift. So everyone that's here in our community, you're going to be absolutely blown away with the generosity of this amazing woman and what she's got for you. So talk about Awaken with Peace and the course you have coming up, and I'll put the link in the chat of how people can grab it.
All right. Well, so my vision and has always been to create peace on the planet. And as many of you probably have read and seen, from other people too, is that it starts within, right? It starts with us becoming peace. And so I've created a course called Rewired for Peace. That is really like it's kind of like a rude awakening to, it's like a crash course in awakening on some level, right? Because you have to become aware so that you know when the triggers are there, what to do, how to, how to conduct yourself and get that emotional intelligence. And so it's a 6-week course, and it's 2 hours a week. And it's based on my live course I used to have before COVID. That was a 4-day training. So it's the same one, but now designed for being online. And that was called the gratitude training. And so I don't know, do I tell them what the offer is, or do you?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. The invitation. And it's the
So
same as
yeah,
you
so
had
the
before. It's the crazy great
yeah,
one you
same.
did
Yeah, the
before.
crazy. It's not even an offer. It's an invitation. You're right. The invitation that I have offered to your community, to these beautiful sisters community, is to attend for free. It's a $675 class, and I'm so excited already with the people that signed up from the last class. And so this is going to be a jam-packed 6 weeks of amazingness and also hard work, you know, like not hard work as in doing this, but hard work as in beingness.
Yeah, amazing. So
I see Laura says I'm registered. That's awesome.
yeah, because she was at Level Up with us.
Yeah, that's
Valerie
right. That's
and
right.
too. Good. All right. So here's the deal, my friends. I want you to go to awakenwithgratitude.com and you'll see peace up in the menu bar. Just follow that link through, and it's going to take you to a page where it describes the 6-week course. And then and it's $675. Like, no joke. No joke. It's $675. And because of Jo's generosity and the relationship that we're creating and our aligned missions for more peace on this planet, that's where this is coming from for all of you. Enter the coupon code WPN, all caps, when it's 100% free. Like, it just totally zeroes it out. So go to awakenwithgratitude.com, and then you're going to follow the thread that takes you to, let me just make sure everything is working properly. So we're going to go to awakenwithgratitude.com, click on where it says peace up at the top, and just follow that link through, and you'll register for the training for zero. You got two courses coming up. One starts August 7th, so that's happening pretty soon. And then I see on the website, the next one after that is going to be October.
I think it's October, yeah.
Yeah, October. So you can get started August 7th, or you can get started October 15th. And give yourself this gift. And what this is about, what I'm seeing this is about being able to find that joy and that peace during your patience period.
Yeah. I like
Right?
that. I like that. Yeah. Find the joy and peace in your patience period.
Yeah, because it's all there. All right, let's what I'd love to do now is open up for some questions and comments from our community. So if you're with us on Zoom, if you're here with us on Zoom, you can raise your hand, and then we'll go ahead and take your question. If you're with us on Facebook, you can put your question in the comment thread there. If you're with us on the phone, I will have you unmuted, and I will call upon you and make sure that I take your question or comment. So let's go so it takes me a minute to get all this stuff ready. And let's see who we have. Laura Barker is ready to share comment or question.
You know I am ready. Oh my goodness. Jo, when I saw that you were going to be here today, you know, I was already at Level Up. I was blown away. Your approach of yes and is unreal. And what I heard were that, I mean, even in that, you know, short segment and today, you have given us so many action items, tools, how to guard our hearts, how to guard our thoughts, our words, right? And it's not easy, like you said. It takes years, right? So my question is, we're doing 6 weeks, right, in the program, which, again, thank you for such a generous offer. So we're doing 6 weeks. How will we take what we learned there? Will we be able to continue it on our own? I guess I'm like, that seems like an intense 6 weeks.
It is an intense 6 weeks, but it's one of those things like when you've seen something, you can't unsee it, right? So there's a few things you're gonna have experiential experiences of a lot of things, and because of that, you'll have it kind of in your bones. Now, you know, the collective unconsciousness is pretty strong out there, so of course we might come back into the world and be like, oh my God, like I know all this stuff, but now I feel like I'm slipping. And that's when you are so lucky, because you have this community, right? It's to be in community with people, to always be open to learning and reading, what have you. Now, for those of you that are coaches and or want to be coaches and trainers, I also certify people to teach the 6-week class, because the 6-week class is so powerful that I believe it could be something that would create the beginning of the context of the entire world to start operating from love and peace, right? And so I want as many people as possible to first take the class and then become trainers and deliver it to other people, so that we can get that kind of conversation out in the water. And I mean,
Wow.
there's no better time than right now because of all the stuff that we've been seeing in the world. And it's time for all of us to step up and become peace and share it.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm even more excited if that's possible. So I know other people have questions, but Jo, thank you again. Nancy, thank you for bringing Jo to this community, because you always bring the best.
You are my pleasure, my purpose. I think it was Stephanie actually on our team who created the initial connection and said, Nancy, do you know Jo? I was like, yeah, I remember Jo. Way back. Yeah, it was good. Very good. Laura, so glad that you're here and joining in with this. So this is wonderful. Yay. Let me mention, so a couple of people on Facebook are saying they're having an issue getting signed up. So can we give them your email address just in case they want to do it, but there's something going on? So what's your email address if someone's having an issue?
Yeah, just Jo, J-O @gratitude.com.
You have gratitude.com? That's a good domain, baby.
There's some very exciting things coming in the future, very near future around that.
I know you've been dropping little hints here and there. I can't wait to hear.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So go to awakenwithgratitude.com and then click on peace, and it'll take you to where the classes are. Remember to enter coupon code WPN. And if for any reason you have an issue, just send an email to Jo, J-O @gratitude.com. Let her know you heard it on the Wow Wednesday and you want to sign up for the class, and she'll make sure that she gets you set with that. So let's go. We've got a couple more people in queue who want to contribute to the conversation. Valerie Ritchie from the UK. So it's probably 3:00 by you as well, right, Val?
Yes, it is coming up to. I'm so looking forward to the course. I signed up again, like Laura. And I just wanted to say that it's so hard when you are trying to keep yourself positive. And, like you gave the example about, I want to earn 10,000 by the end of the month. And you've got to be in the right frame of mind right now to earn that 10,000. So I am absolutely looking forward to those tips. So I am that person that is in that moment just saying it, because I know it, and then I'm thinking, and then you slip, and then you're trying to get back on track, and then it's just learning those little tools to just keep you there. That's what I'm interested in. Also, now you mentioned about the coaching side as well, that's just tweaked an interest as well. So I'm just saying, I really look forward to starting the course with you.
Oh, I'm excited to have you.
Oh, beautiful. That's so good. Thank you, Val. I'm so glad that you'll be a part of this with us as well. And a question got prompted when I was listening. What about, so let's say I have a reaction, or I get triggered, or I'm upset. What is the best way to handle that? Because I know that which we resist persists. So if there's this limited belief, or there's this fear underneath, and you go, oh no, I'm not scared. No, everything's okay. Like, you're just lying to yourself.
Yeah.
So give us some suggestions around that.
Yeah. So there, like, if you find yourself in a mood of frustration, anger, whatever, there's a way to shift off a mood. And so the first thing that comes is awareness. You realize that, oh, this upset me, I'm upset, right? So like, you have an awareness that something is not the way you want it to be. So the awareness is there first, then comes the choice, right? Because if you're like, oh, I'm feeling frustrated, let's say, you're aware. And then the choice is, do I want to continue to feel frustrated? Do I not want to feel frustrated? Don't want to feel frustrated for 5 minutes and then maybe not be right. So like just make a choice, right? And if you want to continue to be frustrated indefinitely, then you can stop with, you can't go to step 3 and 4 because you're just going to be frustrated, right? Then you have to come back when you're ready to get off it, right? So awareness, right, first, then make the choice that you want to get off it, you know. And then the third one is to actually investigate, right? You got to be your own little investigator. Like, where is this coming from? Is it coming from the fact that there's a fly in my soup, or is it because I always had cold soup when I was young, right? Like to really identify. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the step that most people jump over.
Yeah.
And they want to go from feeling yucky to into gratitude without investigating, and then it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last step is to take action based on the investigation. Sort of like, hey, waiter, there's a fly in my soup, right? Or I'm gonna go work on some stuff that happened with the cold soup I was served, right?
Yeah.
So, I gotta go work on that because it's deeper. But even just the acknowledgement, even just going down and going, oh, I probably overreacted right now because of that. Then now you can even speak it. You could be like, hey, waiter, this is hilarious. I just got so upset because I was served cold soup. And all I wanted to do was tell you that there's a fly in the soup. Do you mind giving me another soup? Right? So
Totally
like
different.
it changes everything.
Yeah. It's interesting because I love that step of investigation and then take action based upon what you discovered. And one of the tools that I use when I get triggered, you know, like somebody says something and I go, oh, what an asshole. Like just being real, everyone. We're human.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? I'm judging this person. I'm feeling hurt by it. Or so my tool that I use, like, is awareness, investigation. Where's it coming from? And I personally don't like to linger in that investigation too long because sometimes that creates a swirl. So so there's ways to do the investigation that are powerful and also disempowering. So that's a conversation for another day, I'm sure.
No, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. And then I use the prayer of Ho'oponopono to create the shift. Are you familiar with Ho'oponopono?
A little bit. I've never tried the practice myself.
Oh, it's magic. It really is magic because in that moment of awareness and investigation, oh, look, I'm feeling hurt by what this person said, or I'm feeling angry. And I want to choose something different. I use the power of faith and belief in my higher power, spirit, and God to remove that trigger from me. And that's what the purpose of the prayer of Ho'oponopono is. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Remove this emotion, this trigger from the past, from when my mother served me cold soup as a child. Isn't that like I'm a grown woman now, and I'm letting that impact and now create a ripple to the waiter. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I like
that. It clears the channel in a beautiful way. So anyway, thank you for answering that. I love the 4-step process. Let's go to our next caller, which is Mary Jane Charles. One more time, I want to remind you, go to awakenwithgratitude.com. You'll see peace up in the menu bar. Follow the link, enter coupon code WPN, and join us for free. If you have a question, a comment, for Jo, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, raise your hand. We're here for a few more minutes. And in the meantime, Mary Jane Charles.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning.
Thank you for this. When I popped in, you, Jo, were referring to when somebody escalates and they kind of knock you off balance. How do you respond? And I was there, I would say 10 and 15 years ago. And one day it was more than usual, and I was just aghast. And the little girl in me was trying not to burst into tears, but the trigger was, it made me so annoyed. And I could see the satisfaction, pardon me, on the other person's face. And I thought, excuse me, anybody who's listening, son of a bitch, not this time. And I was quiet. And they were ready, come on, give it your best shot. And I did not. I just pointed at him and I said, that's what I'm talking about, right there. And they didn't know what to do. I'm froggy, not emotional. It's just the frog. And so it was perfect learning from me. I never engaged again. I could, like Woody Allen would take himself out of the scene and comment on it. I gained that perspective. I did not get sucker punched again. It was so liberating. I could just, I mean, it was still odd and it was still in the living room and it was an elephant and I had to feed it, but not emotionally. So I just had to back you up on that. It's so empowering when you gain that trick.
Of not being triggered and of just stopping.
Yep. Oh, I did that too. I put my hand up like a stop sign. I said, stop. That's what I'm talking.
Talk to the hand.
Yeah.
Talk to the hand.
Talk to the hand, honey. Don't come back at me. It's going to be. But I regained myself in that moment. And just as an aside, the other high point, my 15-year-old son walked in earlier that month or whenever, and he said, you're becoming a Stepford wife. How do you like that one? Remember the movie, Stepford Wives?
Yes.
And I was like, holy cow. I said, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. So anyway, these things come back to you and woof, you live with them.
Well, and it actually speaks into like what you persist, right? If you're resisting what they're saying to you, that's what they want. It's just going to keep persisting. And I did that with my brother too. I started just agreeing with him, and now like he has nothing to say anymore. Yeah. I agree on everything he says, and he's like, he can be a jerk, and I just like, yeah, you're right.
It drives them crazy in their own way, and you're just fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary Jane, for sharing. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Are you registered for the class?
I am. I just signed up.
Yeah. All right. Good. Once again, go to awakenwithgratitude.com and join us for this course. I'm very excited about a question for you. If I can't make all of the live classes, are there replays?
Yes, so there are replays, and to get a certificate of completion, you have to attend at least 4 live, but you could still do the entire course and do like 3 live and 3 not. You just wouldn't get a certificate of completion. But I highly recommend to try to make it to all of them. But if you absolutely can't, of course, you can still do the class.
Yeah, perfect. And there's 2 different classes coming up. One starts August 7th, and then the next one after that is October 15th. So whichever one is going to work for you, jump in and go for it. Laura Barker, I see you unmuted. Did you have something else you wanted to ask or add?
Well, no, that was an accident. But if we're wrapping up and you're giving me the opportunity.
I am.
It is remarkable what happens when you change the direction of the conversation. So take, for example, in a domestic abuse scenario, and you've got, it's not physical, it's emotional and words and all that, right? And the pattern that y'all have developed is this back and forth of, he says something ugly, she gets defensive, and then down they go that awful spiral, right? And they start attacking each other, and then, now, I have seen this happen in real life, where the woman got some mindset coaching and she decided she was not going to react the same way ever again. And so the next time it started into an argument, she just poured back love. Like, I don't remember what she said, right? But it was not the name calling and all that, And he was so taken aback. He was speechless. It was like, and he walked
Yeah,
away.
it's like if you were playing tennis and
Yeah.
the ball is going back and forth and then the ball drops, there's nothing left for the other player to play with.
That's right. Nothing to hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you bring up a really good point here, because as we go through life and we look around the world, or we see, the news or social media or people having a conversation in our space that they're saying things that I want to go, well, how could you think that, or blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
This is the reality. The change happens with us, and what Jo is giving us is the tools and strategies so we can be different, and by us being different, that's how change occurs.
And can I just say too that took practice on her part, right? She didn't just one day have the courage to do that and did it. She wanted the change. She practiced a
Right.
lot. She read a lot of books. So I don't,
Yep.
yeah, fantastic result.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that, Laura. It was a great illustration.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good. Peg Duchesne is signed up. I'm sure Kelly is signed up. We're all going to be there together. So let's also think about that power and what happens when everyone in our community starts being in this space. So join us for the what's the name of the course?
Rewired for Peace.
Rewired for Peace. I want some of that. And I want you to join us. So go to awakenwithgratitude.com, click on peace and follow the link, enter code WPN to join us. Oh, Jo, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being, who you are, how you are, and the beautiful flow that you provide to all of us. I really am grateful for you.
I'm grateful too, and I will come anytime. You just do a little
Push that button.
tap me. Push that button.
All right, and I'll let you know when.
Don't push these buttons though.
No, I'll just go like that.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this Wow Wednesday. It was a wow. Tell all your friends about it and share the video so that we can all come together and be agents for peace in the world. That's what we're talking about. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye, Jo. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. So good.